Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of An Aw's First Kiss, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Terai, and my wonderful repeat guest, Sam Hawksmoor, who happens to be my brother. We're going to be talking about his latest book, Whatever Happened to Genie Magee. This is book 4 in this series, which taken place over 15 years. And it's a book that can stand on its own, but I really do advise that you read the whole books. It is a youth genre book, but there's so much for us as adults to learn from it. We're obviously going to get a different perspective, maybe see some things between the cracks that the youth may not see. So it's a book that the whole family can read and then have a good discussion over. Sam Hawksmoor is a prolific author whose writing career spans several decades. He's penned captivating stories of both adults and youth readers. And today we're diving into the final book of his 4-part series, which brings the journey of Magie Magee to a powerful and satisfying close. Set in beautiful British Columbia and Canada, very important to that, folks, this story spans 15 years of mystery, intrigue, and discovery. Sam has a way of writing that feels dimensional, layered, and immersive. He always leaves you wondering just how much of it could be true because it feels so real, so possible. He reveals the stories of the forgotten children, the struggles, the abandonment, and the remarkable resilience that rises from it all. These are stories that don't just tug at the heart, they offer lessons that we can all learn from. The books are The Repossession of Genie Magee, The Hunting of Genie Magee, The Heaviness, and then the last one, Whatever Happened to Genie Magee. And although we're going to concentrate on the last book today, we really do need to visit the whole series. For us, it does stand alone if you read it on your own, but it's going to entice you to want to go back to what is the story from before, because although you do cover it in the book, it makes you want to know what the real story is and the in-depth of it. And and I've got all of the books here. These are the older covers, but you can see how thick they are, right? There's a lot of story in these books. And he said, oh, Genie Magee is not that not that big. Yes, it is. It's still full of wonder. But it's really something you can dive into. Now, Sam's written adult, many books, wonderful. Go back and listen to the shows. All you have to do is put in his name, Sam Hawksmoor, on selfdiscoverywisdom.com, and all of his books and articles will come up. And I invite you to go and listen to the shows that we've done on previous books. But the youth genre, I particularly am fond of because of where it takes us. It's always kind of multi-dimensional. It was very much multi-layered. It really talks about resilience and courage and becoming, and that's self-discovery. And although it may be youth in their self-discovery, it kind of reminds us the youthfulness within ourselves that we need to rediscover as well. Sam has got a cold today. So he might be blowing his nose somewhere through here, but he is here to talk about the latest book, Whatever Happened to Genie Magee. Welcome back, Sam.
Welcome, and thank you.
My pleasure having you here again.
Can you actually see me? Because there seems to be a black bar above my head.
I know I can see you. Don't worry. Full
Right.
theme there.
Very, very strange.
Yeah, no, there you go. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, the
Maybe I
poster
had to
behind.
click something. Ah, there we go. There was an okay I hadn't clicked.
There's always some instruction going along, and like you're not a tech person yet. Actually, in your books, you always do bring about some, a great deal of technology in a way that always blends into the stories as well.
Yeah. Actually, I had a discussion with my great nephew. Is that? I don't know if he is. I have no idea when you have a nephew and what they are when their children are in
Oh,
terms
right.
of
Yes, I suppose it would be a great nephew. Yes.
great nephew.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's 14 and he's got complete logic to it. Anything I decide to do, AI is going to do it better, and they're going to hire that not me. So I am going to teach surfing in Africa, and that's it. Nothing else will persuade me to do it.
Oh my
So
God, he's so much like his father.
but he's right,
Yes, and to a
absolutely
large
right.
extent.
So
To
technology will doom us all.
No, I still think technology is hand in hand. I use ChatGPT a lot. In fact, I interviewed ChatGPT a few weeks ago, and it was an incredible conversation. And whenever I do get into chat with inquiry, as a person with dyslexia, and sometimes I write like Yoda, I give it, my content, and it puts it in the right order for me, and it remembers our conversation before. And I find it actually kind of quite comforting to have that with somebody I don't have to teach every time to do knows what my style is and knows how to do it. So
And,
it is here to help us.
and when you get replaced, we have to prick you to see if you're actually human or AI, right?
Well, actually, this reminds me of a show that you might remember way back in the 60s. I was a young girl, and I remember watching this black and white, so it always makes things more horrific, of somebody that created a kind of an android person, and it looked like somebody else that was there. And in the end, the android conned the man that the human was the android and was defective and had to go into the furnace, right? And that stayed with me. How do we prove our identity? And kind of in a way, that's where we're at today. And in a lot with Genie Magee, it's like kind of her identity because she had a
Well,
horrible mother and everything.
yeah, it begins with her being rescued from a burning vehicle. I wasn't allowed to use the word Tesla. It wouldn't allow me to do it. Anyway, um, and of course, she has absolutely no memory of being in a crash or of who she is. And this is based on something that happened to me. You may not remember this, but um, many, many years ago, I had a little Alfa Romeo, and it was near the racecourse, and driving home after a long journey to the wilderness,
Mhm.
and I was hit by a car that jumped the lights. I
Yeah.
have no memory of it. My car was completely written off, and I woke up in the hospital.
Is that the one where you went through the windscreen?
Yeah,
Right. Yes, I remember.
16 stitches. And but I couldn't remember who I was.
Mm.
So there was someone shaking me awake to ask me, one, my name, and two, how much do I earn?
What?
Yes, because that's how they assess whether they're going to charge you or not.
Ah, right. Yes, this is South Africa, folks. There wasn't any free medical at that point.
So anyway, well, I didn't know who I was. Didn't know I'd been in an accident. Later on, I discovered that the police hadn't. I never spoke to any police at all, but the people who had been driving the truck or a van disappeared. So
Mm. Hit and run. Hmm.
yeah, hit and run, and and it was a long time before I got all the pieces back.
Mm.
My memory. I don't. You weren't there, so I think you must have been staying somewhere else. And
No, but I was with our mother, Jo, as we called her, and I do remember the panic. When it's he's gone for the winter screen.
yeah,
That was just one of your accidents. I do remember the Honda you wrapped around a lamppost or something.
yeah. So the whole confusion around restoring your memory and little gaps. And then I remember getting a phone call saying, "You're overdue on a play I was writing." What play?
I'm a writer.
So it was a lot of my own experience that in the beginning of this book about happening to her. She doesn't know who she is. And so the whole process at the beginning is with the health nurse, who's a mental health nurse by luck in a dying town, and there's quite a few dying towns these days.
Hmm.
And she's tries to help her restore her memory, and so it was building on that point. And in that, of course, it's a literary device to
Hmm.
then say, well, these are all the things that you've been through. And of course, the nurse is not going to believe anything that's
No,
happened to her.
no.
I mean,
And
this
there
is
you do have to read the other books to know exactly what happens to her.
but I mean, she's been through successfully teleported
Hmm.
now a copy of herself
Mm.
with memory intact, by the way, which is probably going to be impossible despite how many episodes of Star Trek you watch.
Yes, it's always beat me up, Scotty.
Yeah, yeah, but anyway. Um, and so, and then uh, one of the trigger events, well, she takes her whole through, and also then she noticed her wrists. There are burn marks on her wrists,
Mm.
and she discovers that she was tied up in the back of this car. So why? And why is she here?
Hmm.
And then even worse, she discovers a comic, a graphic novel with her in it, and it's her life story.
And how
And
did that happen? Yes,
who the hell is doing this?
you're right.
And so yeah, that's
And also what I got from that is that although she didn't remember who she was, seeing her life story scared her, even though she didn't know why she was scared.
yeah. And also then in the process of the recovery, there are there are trigger things, and the biggest one I think is realizing your dog is dead.
I know, and we're both dog lovers. We've always been dog lovers. My dog has been dead almost 10 years, well, no, 9 years. And the picture of her up there, and I still miss her. So
Yeah,
Sam has a dog always in every book that he puts out there.
there's two dogs in this book.
Right, yes.
Three dogs, and I want to do not mention what happens at the end. So
No, I won't.
anyway, but yeah, so and the dog is there as part of her therapy at the beginning, and discovering who she is and what kind of person she is, because that's an interesting thing. When you wake up, you don't know not only who you are, but you don't know what you are.
Right.
You know,
In a way, actually, if you look at people that parallel to that, you had a taste of that for what, a couple of days? How many days were you without memory?
about three.
So that's 3 days of not knowing who you are. I imagine there was a lot of anxiety around that and then kind of frustration. Why can't I remember? And if you look at people going through dementia, and they get these episodes of not knowing who they are, they just know they're scared, they're frustrated, people are coming at them. I recently went through an episode of that with my son-in-law's mother. Her
Yes.
electrolytes just dropped. She'd actually broken her hip and kind of going into the shock. She didn't know who she was and she was incomplete. And then they send the fire department, the police, and the ambulance. And all of a sudden, she could just see these uniforms coming from her and she completely freaked out. And so you can understand when somebody's lost their memory,
Yeah.
that they're navigating no man's land, right? Give them space, give them time.
Yeah. Actually, I was lucky because it was on the third day that a nurse came up to me and said, "You were here previous Christmas with meningitis."
Ah, right.
And she said, "I remember because I'm the one who put that stick of wood in your mouth to stop you from screaming when they stick the needle in your spine."
Yeah, oh my God. Torture, my God.
So that was sheer luck. And then,
Yes.
oh no, there was all paper records in this, but they were able to say, "Oh, this is who you are," and by the way, you owe us for that operation two
Jesus.
years ago.
Oh my God. Yes, because I go back to being anonymous here.
What? Who's that?
Not me.
Anyway, so yeah, so the reason I wrote this one after a period of time now, so the last one would have been written in 2014. That's the heaviness.
Mhm.
And I always felt guilty. I feel guilty a lot about the books I write and the horrible things my characters go through,
I know.
right? And I thought, and I was in Miami at the time, and I was just thinking, well, whatever happened to Genie Magee? And what's she like now? Because
Yes.
she'd be around about 27. And the trick is in this one, of course, is that she hasn't aged, not
Mm.
a scintilla.
Because she's a copy of her original self.
but she's not going to age, nor are her other surviving friends.
Mm,
And that makes them very valuable
hmm. And vulnerable.
genetically, because if you
Yes.
think about it, there are tons of people, your Musks, your Trumps, and
Yes.
God knows what, all who want to live forever.
Hmm.
And they want to get hold of that DNA to
Well,
say,
that's
look,
the thing all the way through the book, the way that you've done it, and the fact that she doesn't know this and doesn't that. And even when things are revealed, it's like, who did capture her? For what agenda? And
yeah,
it's like, are they back? Are they back?
yeah,
Is this going to start up again? And again, please go back and read all the books to know. Sam covers it in the book, kind of more or less what happened. But really, you do have to go on the journey with the other books to really know and really feel it, because you really do feel it in the other books of what they go through. And that's your art of your writing. It isn't just, oh, pleasant reading, put it down, next book. You really do attach to the characters and you really do kind of feel what they go through. And you really do kind of worry about them at times because you do put things through, plus the dogs.
yeah.
And how many times have you said to me, my God, I've got to keep this dog alive while they're rafting down this river?
Well, it's one of the things, once you introduce a dog, you have to feed it
Yes,
and you have to walk it and you have to pay
yes,
it. You
yes.
can't just like ignore it. And I always often see a movie and I think, well, what happened to the dog?
Exactly. And the other
Yeah.
thing
It's like
is
they
it going to
forgot about
bark
it.
at the
But
wrong time?
yeah.
Like a baby crying or whatever. Is it going to give you away?
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot of factors in there. So yes, but
and in
you've
fact,
all,
as an aside, on Sunday, I saw the best movie I've ever seen in my life. And that's without, I'm pretty old. I've seen lots of movies. Flow, which won the
hmm.
Oscar for best animation,
I'm
is
seeing it this weekend. It's at a cinema
it's
near me at last.
it's a work of art. It's like you're walking into a gallery. Every single frame is a work of
Hmm.
art.
Mm. That's what it
And
won the Oscar, folks. So clearly it had an
yeah,
impact.
it's had it on me. It was absolutely, totally emotionally engaging. I loved every moment of it. And it begins with a cat, obviously, and it's in this world where there are no humans. Well,
Mm.
what happened to the humans? And
Mm.
then there are this dog and a lemur and whatever. But the whole point is that you're absolutely enthralled by it, and there's no dialogue because animals don't speak. It's not a Disney movie.
Right.
Animals don't speak, and it's not a Ghibli movie, which is the Japanese one.
Hmm.
It's not cute,
Mm.
although there are cute moments in it. But it's one of just a relentless things happen to all these animals, and animals want to survive.
The resilience of, right?
And
Take a lesson from the animals, how to find your
yeah,
resilience.
and gosh, you will be blown away by it.
Well, there was
Absolutely.
another one that you recommended,
And the
which I loved,
music too,
which
by the way.
yes, yes, and I'm going to see it this weekend. But there's another one that you recommended, Wild Robot, which was
Yeah.
also a beautifully endearing movie. And again, an ageless one. It doesn't matter if you were young or old. It's just purely delightful,
Well,
right?
it's no accident that Wild Robot, made a lot of money and people want to go and see, but it's cute, but with an environmental message. Whereas
Right.
Flows, our environmental message is slightly different because this is a world that is flooded suddenly. And and it's these are the sort of things that are happening. And it just brings you home to all the news that you keep reading about. Well, Trump is demolishing, or Musk is demolishing
Mhm.
FEMA, the federal
Yes.
emergency,
God, yes.
all the US aid. And we just had earthquakes in
Yes.
Myanmar, no Americans
How
there.
many plane crashes since he demolished that department, right? And no, it does.
Everything.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Yeah.
It's shocking. At the same time, you realize this is the end of America, not what he's
No,
promised, liberation.
I
This
mean
is the
every
end of
every empire falls, and this is the fall of it. And then out of the ashes, what are they going to rebuild? But I think what it is I mean, really, it's being compared to Hitler and Nazi land, um, because virtually word for word, he's speaking, what Hitler did and doing what Hitler did. And, in those days, people didn't have social media, didn't have television, just had a little radio. So it kind of hit them before they kind of knew what hit them. Right now, we know better. We have access to truth and facts. And
so far.
yes, yeah, but I know if, and the thing is, be discerning. If it looks ridiculous or too far out, maybe it is. Although with Trump, what is too far out? I don't think fiction could keep up with him right now, because if
Yeah.
you put some fictional story out of what's going on in America right now, people will just go, "This is a farce." And
Well,
now,
actually, that's not necessarily true because last year there was a very good movie called Civil War starring Kirsten Dunst,
hmm
and brilliant film, beautifully made, and a fantastic ending. And it was about a very Trump-like president on his third term,
which
and
he
the whole
wants.
country was torn apart. And I think in a way it it made some money, but it could have been more popular. And I think if they re-released it,
hmm
a little bell would go off for
Right.
everybody. Say, my
I mean,
God,
there's
is
always
that good?
hindsight as 2020. Why can't we see what's in front of us right now? And in a lot of ways, kind of through these books, the warnings are there. Or why can't anybody else see this? Why can't anybody else hear what's going on? Why are they ignoring this?
Well, actually, there is an answer to that because most people don't really like to think about the future. It's
Mm,
worrisome. There are a lot of worries in this country where I am. They're just
England.
price on everything,
hmm
water, gas, phone, you name it, car tax, house tax, you name it.
We have it here too.
But I mean, astronomically, well above inflation. And they're saying, oh, we have to do this. At the same time, um, we have a whole generation of younger people who are all going on mental health relief,
Yeah.
not working, which pays a lot more than people get on pensions and
Mm.
whatever. And these people need to be helped into work soon
Yes.
because if
Yes.
they lose that ability,
hmm
they'll never go
Who's
back.
going to take the reins of the next work
Yeah,
generation? Yeah.
absolutely. It's very worrying. So my characters never have a problem with work ethic.
No, well, a part of that is
Mm.
the survival, right? It's we have to. There is no option. So, that's the important thing is they don't know what's around the corner. They're obviously always on the run. And even, when they think they're safe, are they safe? And for them, they're always kind of in a way on high alert.
And that's about Genie Magee and Renee, and also the Japanese girl as well, is that they all have a very strong work ethic. It's almost as if they know that they won't live forever and they
Mm,
need to make a mark.
right.
And
Seize, carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment, right?
nicely.
Mm,
And so that's, in a way, what drives them on is that they're not lazy people. They
hmm
need to justify their existence somehow. And to be honest, I don't think they can actually write about people who don't have any motivation. It needs a different set of skills.
Yes.
I mean, always have to have a project,
Exactly.
thinking about something new.
Yes.
And I don't know how people
Do
live
nothing.
if you don't do anything. Yeah.
I know. I don't get that either because, Emma was the thing, if you don't use it, you lose it. And, we need to keep our minds engaged. We need to be proactive in doing something. And as we age, we have to moderate what that is or to the extent of what it is. Um, but I think it's important, just because we have age doesn't mean we're not still contributors. But what I've noticed, with a lot of millennials that I've interviewed, um, there is there was kind of a pause with them, from all the other generations of like, I'm looking at everything that's gone before me and I don't like it. So I'm going to switch off
Mm.
and become the avocado toast people and do my own thing. My own kids aren't into really social media. My two girls are in a little bit. My one daughter is a bit more of an activist. Well, actually, both daughters are in their own way, but my son's not on social media. His wife is, but it's more to do with promotion and things like that. They're
Mm.
not into voting. They're not into politics. I am far more the advocate. I'm far more the 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 speaker out. And is that my generation? Is their generation just? But
Well,
something
um,
has to be
uh,
picked up, and they have to get into some action because we can't change things unless we be proactive.
yeah, I was very pleased to see it was in Nuremberg on the weekend, and there were tons of young people protesting against the AfD, which is the fascist party that Musk is promoting in Germany.
Right. Yes.
And yes, I wouldn't want to be selling a Tesla right now in Europe, but anyway. But yes, it's the all they are active. They are thinking about their future because they don't want the future that Musk is promising them.
Right. And and that's another thing. They've watched the movies.
Mm.
They've seen the horrors, and it's like, you want us to go to that? The
Yeah,
people that are, the people that are behind the Musk and behind the Trumps are people that for me, they aren't taking accountability over their own choices or participating in their own lives. Is that somebody's made a promise to them, rah, rah, angry, I'm gonna, and I've interviewed people who were Trump followers, and I've actually off camera asked them why, and it's always to protect their interest.
yeah. But actually, Musk is busy destroying all of their interests.
Yeah, exactly. What interest?
I mean,
The country,
health,
and I interviewed,
healthcare will go, and
all of that is being under the gun right now and happening so fast. It's like rapid fire. And
yeah,
that's also part of the agenda, right? And in a lot of sense, what Genie Magee and her friends go through is rapid fire. It's almost relentless. There really isn't that much time for them to pause and kind of regroup. Through the first three books. Obviously, with the next book, once she gains her memory and she understands what's going on, there's still the fear. Are they
yeah,
out there? Are they going to come and get me? Do I really want to put my story out there?
yeah.
And can I have a life? And it's, I think that in a lot of ways, when you look parallel to where people are right now, is ISIS going to come and get me? Am I going to lose my pension?
Well,
Will
yeah.
I
I
lose
mean,
my medical? Do I
it's
want
worth mentioning.
anonymity?
All four of the books are all set in Canada and in
Hmm.
the BC region. So yeah, so that that may
And
very well.
you do have a tendency to burn cities down. Now you've burnt Commercial Drive down and another place to die, and you
Oh
know,
no, it wasn't.
and
Oh yeah, well, maybe I did. I don't know.
yeah, and you did something to Whistler, but
I destroyed Whistler. Yeah,
yes.
that was Genie McGee who did that. But anyway,
Right, right.
it
There's a
was an
reason
accident.
behind it, folks. Yes. A lot of your books are set here in Canada because I know that you love Canada and would love to come back here if you had a chance. But um, it and obviously one of the sad things that we're seeing right now is uh, where we had an excellent relationship with America, e-commerce wise, trade wise, and tourism and everything else. Now we're becoming two completely separate countries, and there is a warning not to go to the States because ordinary tourists are being held, and no phone call, no lawyer, just held in a shell and decided whether they're going to keep you or send you to
Well, now they're
Guantanamo Bay and
checking
all of that.
every single person, and we've had a warning here: don't
Yeah,
go to America.
every country, Canada's issued the same warning,
They're
and
checking your social media,
yep, yes.
anything anti-Trump. So that's me out of going
Oh,
to
that's
America.
me out too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a
Um,
shame, but I won't be going.
right.
And,
But what it's done for us, and of course, we've just had our carbon tax cut, so our gas has just gone down 15 cents.
has it? All right.
And that, and what that's promoting is like Canada is beautiful. Explore your own country,
It
or
is.
go to Europe, but don't go to the States.
I mean, America gets 20 million Canadians visitors a year. Well, I ain't going to get that now.
Nope, they're not. Definitely not. Everybody's far too scared to do that.
But whilst I was in Germany, the headlines in the local paper, it was read to me, um, was about some German girls who were going backpacking in America and were, rounded up and thrown in jail, and no lawyers, nothing.
Every day I see a story, a perfectly ordinary person, nothing, and it's just it's quite disgusting. It really is. I am glad the world is pushing back. I don't know if people know, but Canada's in an election mode right now. I'm praying
Yeah,
Mark Carney gets in
me
because
too.
conservatives are Trump's the wannabes,
All pro-Trump.
all
Yeah, it's
pro-Trump, and
which
Carney
is going to
hasn't got
happen.
really kind of charisma, but he's a I'm going to get it done guy, and in a lot of ways, like Biden, he wasn't out there kind of look at me, adore me. I'm busy working, and that's
Yeah,
what we want. We want a prime minister to work,
he was popular here in England when he was, head of finance here. So,
and he's a no nonsense guy. He's dealt with the Trumpsters in the world before through e-commerce and everything. So,
but that's
um,
I mean, in a way, why one of the reasons the the whole books are set there, because in a way it's invisible, because these are secret experiments on runaway children,
mhm,
that no one will notice. And that was one of the first things when I was doing the research for the first book, was just how many runaway kids there are,
yeah,
and how 50% of them disappear forever, whether
never to
they're
be
into
heard
the
or
drug
seen of
trade or
again.
prostitution or
Right?
whatever. It's shocking how
Human
they,
trafficking is,
yeah,
billion-dollar industry, if not more. I've done many shows on this, on sex trafficking and human trafficking, and like, the amount of money behind is every time they manage to break one cell, another one comes up, and it is. I think what we need to look at is that why is it so big and who is buying them? Is it for slavery? Is it for sex? Is it for this or that? And, why is the human condition,
yeah.
so disgusting? I
So,
think, we have a
yeah,
disease out there that we need to pay
it's
attention to.
perhaps more plausible now that they're using these kids because they think no one will miss them, no one will care.
Well, the first turn round, when he round all those kids up at the border,
Yeah,
already there was an expose of kids going missing and going into sex trafficking then.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and they're taking babies away from their mothers right now. It's quite, it's just everything is just horrific. And politics aside, it's inhumane. And when are we going to bring back our humanity? And even though Genie Magee was a copy of her original self, all the way through it is that humanity of I am human, I have rights, um and that sense of wanting to belong and to be counted and to be kind, but also at the same time always on alert and distrusting.
One of the hardest part for me to write actually is towards the end of the book, is when I send Jeannie on a date.
Yes.
I don't know how that read for you, but
No, it was kind of cute because almost she had said, "No, this is me. I'm on my own. No, nobody in my life," right? And then she just kind of meets him. What I liked about him is that, in a sense, he was a practical and no nonsense guy that kind of really liked her, knew that she was tentative, but that's okay. I've got this, I've got you. And that's kind of what you felt from that first date. I've got
yeah,
you. And
then
it,
it
and
was
it and that's what you wanted for her. Someone who obviously was going to know the whole story, but I've got you. You're safe
yeah,
with me.
yeah, and it was I was very worried about it because I'm old bloke now, and the dating has changed.
Oh boy, has it. I haven't been on a date in 15 years.
Yeah. But then I realized that she never had a date, because when she first met Rian, her boyfriend, in the beginning, the first three books, they just held hands and that was it. There was nothing spoken. They were just
Right.
as
It
it
was it
was
was it
when I
was
was
young
young.
love out of survival. You know,
No, but that was just done out of sheer affection and
yeah,
love.
puppy love in a
Yeah,
lot of ways. That
why
first
not?
love, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And then, of course, through their experiences, they both changed,
Yeah.
which then took them in different directions. So, um, and it's I think, what do we want whenever we go through a trauma? God, this girl's gone through trauma. And I do so many shows on trauma, people's personal trauma, and how did they find their courage, their strength, their resilience, find their abilities and find a way forward, kind of taking the experience they've gone through and rearranging it into something that's productive and will serve others. And in a lot of ways, that's her. And kind of for her, it's through her art,
Yeah,
how she
and
speaks
also
about.
that's why I picked up on Renee with the letter that she sends, saying,
Mm,
she wakes up in Australia married to a guy and has no memory of being there. So
right.
this memory thing is a glitch.
Yes.
There's always going to be a glitch.
Yeah.
If you're going to teleport anyone, I guarantee there will be a glitch. And this is it when you lose your memory, even temporarily.
Yeah.
And of course, you try telling anyone that you've been teleported.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rest of it.
Yeah. Let's lock you up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what happened to her.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It actually
So,
reminds me of a book that you were writing back in the early 90s on your first electric typewriter of the army that was being faxed.
yeah,
And that's before, internet came in, before computers kind of became mainstream. And you
yeah.
had this whole sci-fi thing of armies being able to be faxed. And like kind of at the time it was wow. And now you look at it and go, oh my God, it's really only kind of 30 something years. And look how far we've come.
Well, there are still people who would love to use teleportation to move
Yeah.
troops to a situation,
Many
suddenly.
movies on that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm hoping that people will not be put off by the fact this is a number four
Hmm.
because it's a standalone in the sense that you're going to find out about what happens.
If you're an anxious person about your character, all right, is your character going to survive and you're anxious reading it? Reading number four might be good. Now, now go back to the beginning and find out how she got to number four,
Yes,
right?
and
Because,
also
for
where the
some people,
grandmother
you
came
do
from.
take people on a roller coaster. Absolutely. What these kids go through.
Yes, but of course she does have a protector,
Yeah.
the grandmother.
Hmm.
All right, she's dead, but small detail.
And that grandmother's been in a few of your books. Our mother was a
Yeah.
seer, I'm a seer as well.
Well,
And
that's
so,
actually how the first one begins. The
hmm,
grandmother drops dead,
right.
but she sees it happening in her head and
Hmm.
tells her mother, and that is the door slamming on her. She gets locked up in a bedroom because she's evil.
And the reason she's evil because the mother has kind of bought into this priest
Yeah,
who is in itself, you sum up all that's wrong with religion, he's it.
yeah.
Right. So
That's
um
it for the
in fact
money.
actually I was watching oh, what was it? It's a cop series. They have what's the name, Wanted, and you and anyway, they actually had a show on that last night. This guy that was running a cult. I speak for God, and then choosing the young women he was going to sleep with at night because God, divine designed it, and it's like it's still going on, and yet people are still buying into it, and it's
Yeah,
like and why are they buying into it? Because they're so feeling lacking inside. They're so lost inside, they're so disconnected inside. They attach to something that looks kind of shiny and safe and, you
it's a
know,
sense of wanting to belong to
yes,
something,
wanting to
but
belong
also,
and also abstaining from doing your own inner work.
yeah, it's an abdication of your own responsibility for
Yes,
your life,
yes,
your
yes.
following rules.
Mm,
You often see that as a theme in many stories.
hmm.
I just read a really interesting book called Fever by Dion Mayer, which is was written before COVID, a bit like my own book, J&K
Hmm.
Forever, and Another Place to Die. And but this is set in South Africa, and 95% of the world has died. And so this one guy tries to rebuild a community, a town, leaflets and whatever, and tracks people in. And of course, there are always going to be people who would rather come and steal what you've got
Of
and
course.
you grow.
Human, nasty side of human nature. Yeah.
And it's an interesting book and very very long one, but it's ideal if you're going to spend 8 hours on a train, which turned out to be 12 hours on a
Oh
train.
God, because the train broke down.
Oh
There's a series on, I think it's called The Last of Us, and it's like it starts off
yeah.
with a guy talking about, mushrooms. As the world heats up, the mushroom fungus is going to grow, and then people are turning into mushrooms, and but violent, and it's actually a really good series. And it's all about survival, and there's only a few people left, and it's they're trying to form communities where they're protected and they can start again. But again, there's always those people that would rather take from you than be a part of and contribute. And I think, it's like in every story you ever see, there's always somebody like that. I'm going to take what you've sweat for. Because I don't want to sweat, I just want to have, and it's the nasty side of human nature. And I think, what point in life do we look at that and go, why are we like that? Why can't we be better?
Hmm.
I mean,
The
the whole synopsis around the book and the evilness that is teleporting kids and why, which I'm not going to give it away because I want people to read the book because it's
yeah,
going to astound you when you find out why. Astound you.
indeed.
And it's always about self-interest over the interest of community.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I write the stuff, as it were. Um, I actually am pleased that I did start it because although, it might be very hard to get people to go to it, it was, I think, an important thing to go back to a character and, if you like, assuage my guilt for putting it through it and rebuild her and and see what her next trajectory is. And in fact, there was a villain in the book, and I started writing it, and I thought, you know what, that distracts from her. I
Mm,
don't want that at this time. I wanted to have a book without a villain, literally about emotional recovery, memory recovery, and regaining, if you like, your life.
exactly. And kind of almost losing her memory and having to rediscover it in a set is like a reset.
Mm.
As you're regaining your memory, you're regaining things that are important, and and maybe not carrying those things that we carried before. You kind of look at them. Why was I carrying that? As your
Yeah,
memory comes back.
yeah, absolutely.
There
What's
is
in,
another book I'd love you to kind of do a sequel on, is the Repercussions of Thomas D.
well, yeah, actually, I had thought about it, but it's be hard.
It would be, but at the
And
same
it's very
time,
topical right now because
that is what I'm saying. Please, it's again a youth genre, so youth can read it, but you read it as an adult, and you're going to like all the bells are going to go off for you. And it's a
oh,
simple story of a young boy that goes through a time tunnel and ends up back in the war, and tells somebody that he shouldn't tell all about the future, and how it changes history, and
actually,
in a
all we had
way,
to show him was his iPhone.
right? Yeah,
That that
yes,
that's all you need. It's just one little thing.
yeah. And it changed the course of history. And in a
Forever.
sense, in fact, I think, the repercussions of Thomas D, which I have got right here. Um, this one is, I think, is a really important read to read right now because,
Yeah,
again,
and that's
although it's
a real picture of kids sheltering from the German bombers as they go over London
right,
in
which then, of
41.
course, you made Thomas D in the blue sweater,
Yeah.
um, but it is it's as you said, it's so much now. Although you've written it fictional, you always bring fact into your fiction. You
Well, yeah,
always bring
because
possibility of fact, and it's like you put your book down, and you go, "That was a really nice story," or "That was that," and then you go, "Gosh, shoot, that's really happening." Or
yeah,
that really could happening. Oh my, or then something suddenly comes up that you're aware of that you
well,
weren't aware
actually,
of
it's
before that the book
happening
woke you
now.
up on.
Now, with the far right, it's a virus
Yes,
that has resurfaced,
yes.
and a lot of people are
We've got
very
another
attracted to it.
pandemic going on, folks.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a
It's a
scary.
political pandemic at the present moment. And if we don't, get our vaccines out, so to speak, we're all going to get caught on it. And, I really do, get people to read this because, yes, it's about, two young people and, sweethearts, but it's like the
But they're
change of the world.
separated by time, you know.
It's separated by time, but at the same time of when you look at the youth today, they take so much for granted. Their phones, their this, their that, etc. And it's like you forget who are the people that invented this and what they went through to bring it to you. And that's
Absolutely.
why my next book after I've Forgotten Children book is Our Forgotten Seniors, which you're going to be contributing a chapter to. And, it is about the seniors' celebration of all that they've contributed, but the challenges they face today as seniors, but the warning to the youth. Take care of your seniorship now, because otherwise you won't be able to afford to live
Oh,
later.
take care of your health now.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
that's where the wealth is in your health, folks. We know firsthand.
Yeah. It's like it's extraordinary when I see particularly the American and possibly the Canadian diet, all the processed food, salt,
Hmm.
sugar in all the food.
Yes.
You know, there will be repercussions for entire generations of people. And you
Oh,
only have
there,
to
there,
see.
there are repercussions, not will be, there are. There's my kids are pretty well on a health kick, either vegan or vegetarian or dabble in both, or very much into the smoothies and the vitamins and the yoga and the this and that, etc., which is great.
Yeah.
And it's great to see my little 4-year-old grandson doing yoga poses, and doing yoga stretching and all of that. It's just really cool because it's been integrated into his lifestyle. But we do look at a lot of people where, not only the diet, but the diet of the phone, perpetually on the phone. Um, their
Yes, yeah.
necks are down.
Phone neck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the spinal thing on it, the eyes that are being affected, and the content that they're digesting. They've become so detached from reality and actually experiencing life because they're experiencing it all through that.
Talking of aging, in Germany, say, I was changing between Frankfurt and to catch the train to Nuremberg. And so I arrive on track 4 and I have 5 minutes to get to track 19. Okay, fine, go down the step. The last step, for some reason, there's a sort of light change. I missed it,
Oh
sprawled.
no, oh no, Sam.
And well, actually, someone picked me up, which is great. And then I had to run to 19, discover that in German, track change, it's gone back to number 5. So now I
Oh
had to get up.
no.
I now have 30 seconds,
Oh
get up
God.
the stairs, manage to get on the train. And on the way back, the train, there were problems on the track 3 times. So we went in a very picturesque route along the rivers that people pay actually extra money for.
Right. Well, that's
It's
one
very
bonus out
beautiful.
of
It
it.
was
Yeah.
very nice. But of course, I knew on hour 9 that I'm going to miss all of my connections.
Oh no.
Excuse me. And I was worried that I would have to repay, obviously,
Hmm.
and stay in a hotel. But this is where German efficiency beats British efficiency or lack of. In the morning, I went to the station and she said, "Ah, you're one of those people that got delayed. Stamp. Okay, free travel all the way back to London." So there you go. So
And,
that,
and as it should be, if you'd already paid for that, then
yeah,
you
I know,
just
but of course it's a day later. I'm not on any of those trains. So,
well, how can you be if they've redirected you or broken
and
down or
my
anything?
best, and I'll leave you this with my best experience was in the hotel, which is which was called the Hotel Windsor in Cologne, and I was in the 5th floor, and I was lying in the bed, and I'm thinking, what's that on the ceiling? And it was the emergency exit. Okay, so the emergency exit sign is on the ceiling. That's a worry at the start. Okay, then I realized that you have to stand on the bed, stand on a window ledge, open one of these weird German windows that open from the top, climb out onto the roof in case of fire.
Oh my God.
And I was thinking, any older person or
Uh-huh.
any sciatica as I have right now,
Yes.
that ain't going to happen.
Or anybody with kids or anything. I mean, no, it's just it completely would not pass, any fire
that
safety thing at all. But
would not pass here.
But I mean, that's the thing about Europe, though, which people don't understand if they're in North America, is that, many of the hotels and the buildings, go back centuries. And so they were never designed for that. So they kind of
There are less of
Mickey
those than you
Mouse.
think, thanks to a lot of bombing in the war. So,
Right, exactly.
however, yeah, but yeah, there are two things I'll say about Germany. One is don't drink the coffee.
Not good.
No, it ain't good. And but the bread and the
Mm,
strudel is
hmm
to die for. So there you go.
Right. Well, every country has its little something that is absolutely good, right? And of course, that's something you also integrate into your books is a good coffee house. And virtually every book you ever have is a good coffee house with a good coffee and a pastry.
And also, Jeannie's cooking for her friends and things.
Yes,
And I think it's important to cook in the story. So often it's just flash, 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 bang, bang, bang.
yes,
Where actually it's good to pause and drink a tea, coffee, moment, cook something, eat something.
yes.
It's it slows us
We never
down.
see anybody going to the bathroom. You know,
Yeah, my
there's
books
no.
you do. Yeah.
And actual fact, your last book, um, uh, sorry, remind me of the title again. Um,
The
Re
restoration of Amy. Yeah.
Restoration of Amy, a lovely story, which is like reading it, both my daughter and I go, that's Sam. And about
Yeah.
a retired NASA guy, and he's
Yeah.
off to go and get a part for his oh God, what was the name of the car?
Studebaker,
Studebaker, a
the
special part.
Canadian par.
All
Yeah.
right, yes, and trying to restore it, and then picks up this young girl and her dog that's escaping a cult, and the journey that they take along there, and it's kind of got almost three stories in one, which is really really great, and
But it
a
does have to
really
pee a
great
lot.
read. Yes, because as you see, you get to that age, and that's the thing is that yes, you watch all these shows, you watch all these things, and um they don't have reality in it. It's like I don't know if it's in our genes or what, but I look at it and go, "Well, nobody seems to have eaten in 48 hours. Nobody seems to have slept. Nobody's gone to the bathroom. Like none of that reality stuff, which I think if we inserted it into the reality would make it less, bang, bang, shoot 'em up and more life, more relatability. And I think people are
Oh, yeah.
looking for that relatability.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to be said for reminding people that actually it's quite difficult getting old. And, poor old Tom Cruise is 60. His last Mission Impossible will be coming out this year, finally.
Right. Yes. I mean, God, he's an action guy, but even at a certain point, you have to
They
go
finished,
like,
they finished filming a year ago, so I don't know why they've delayed it so long. But
yes, it's yes, we saw it actually almost 2 years ago, I think.
yeah,
And it's I don't know what, caused the disconnect, but and he broke his ankle in one of his stunts, actually, in
yeah, yeah.
so, I mean, how many times do you hear somebody, oh, in that movie I broke this, and that movie I broke that? And it's like we forget. And I've interviewed stunt people, one of them, great title for a book, Falling for the Stars.
Oh
And
yeah,
which she
that is a good
literally, as she would, be Meryl Streep, stunt woman, or a few other people, and literally do the falling. And she was talking about how precision it has to be. Like a car is going to hit someone where
oh
they have
yeah,
to accelerate at this and deaccelerate and brake at that, make it look, and then she's got to make it look like she's being hit. But if they're out of sequence, she is going to get hit.
yeah,
And it's like we look at all these stunt things and oh yeah, bodies flying here and there and everywhere. And it's like, do you know how many of them really do get hurt? And that really it's a dance and a
yeah.
very precision dance. And so while you're looking at this one being shot and that one flying here and that one flying there, please pay attention to all those stunt people because they have a
Yeah.
short lifespan in that action because they do break things.
Well, I all know about it having sprawled all over the station in Frankfurt. I do
Well,
know.
the thing is, when you fall, is always the embarrassment, having to be got up. A few years ago, I tripped and fell, and I don't fall. I don't just fall. I bounced. I fell on my knees, and my glasses got thrown off. Thank God. Then I fell on my head, cracked my nose. And thank God the glasses were off. Otherwise, they might have gone into my eyes. And I'm lying there flat with my son's
Yeah.
dog on my chest. And fortunately, as serendipity, love it when things like this, a nurse was cycling by.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
very much.
she, and it's amazing what happens when you do things like that. I could not move, but I could remember phone numbers that don't ask me to repeat now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And it's kind of funny the way the brain works and what it does. Even in the loss of her memory, it's kind of things that she knows how to do that she doesn't know how she knows to do it. And that's the thing, right? There's the muscle memory, um,
yeah.
that,
But
is
actually,
automatic.
going back to my book, is Genie Magee. Is it? What, do I like toast? Do I like tea? Do I like coffee?
Yes,
What do I
yes,
like? You
right.
don't know. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And
It's,
also perhaps even things that as you gain your memory that you've learned to like that you didn't like before.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean,
I mean, this is the fascinating thing is that with all of your books, and you've written so many over the years, and I've read every single one of them. I love the way you take us. There's that TV series, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and you did a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
parody of it of Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mole. And I remember putting that book down, going, "Shit, is this real? Is this really real?" You start, and that's the thing about a good book is when you finish it, you've enjoyed it, but you start noticing things that you didn't notice before.
Yes,
I
I did have a mole who gave me some information, so that was quite useful.
That was incredible, yeah. But with Miggy, she's got this wonderful
Thank you. Yeah. Well,
rare
let's hope
gray streak in her hair, red
all
hair.
on all on Amazon and print and in ebook.
And the thing about her character, I think too, is I'm going back to the word resilience. We look at so many people and they give up so easily, or they become stuck in their trauma. Instead of working through the emotions, they become emotional about their emotions, and their trauma becomes their identity. And for her, it's everything but that. I don't want that to be my identity. There's
Yeah,
got to be more.
absolutely.
And it's a great example of how to push through, how to no matter what's thrown at you, even the down days, the sad days, the I want to give up days, if finding that window that opens. And I
Yeah,
think it's a great example of
yeah.
resilience.
A meeting Brimstone would have been very useful. And you no need to explain who he is. You'll find him if you
Right.
read.
Yes, exactly. And again, that when we look back on our life and we find, we meet people moments in our life when we're meant to meet them. If we can get out of our own way and pay attention to our present, the person that's there or the experience you're having in that moment is by design. And there's all for a reason for it, and be open to exploring what that reason is. Don't dictate, just explore and see what's meant to come of it. And I think, again, through the thread through all of the books and all of your books is be prepared to look at something different, but also be prepared to be present and pay attention to what's around you. Slow down, take it in. What does it mean?
And have coffee and strudel.
Yes, coffee and strudel or croissants or whatever, but always a good cup of coffee. We're definitely a coffee family, you and I. So we both love our coffee. Um, and, I think that again brings the fact that she is cooking and she does discover she likes coffee and had an apple cider farm, right, which I want people to, apple tree farm for the made cider. I want people to read the book and see how that came about. And it's also like when they haven't eaten, when they do eat, you want them to eat because they must be starving, and you kind of in a way you feel hungry for them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
of
when
course,
you're really immersed in a book,
when she remembers the apple cider farm, of course, that's your big fires back in 22.
Yes, yes.
I mean, all our area was, they must have lost so many farms and
And
livelihoods.
unfortunately, those type of farms take years and years, even decades to
Absolutely.
rebuild. It's not something
Yeah.
where you can plant them and there'll be few months. No, the soil is damaged. So that you literally have to scrape off the old soil and insert new soil, and that soil has to settle. And there's so much. So basically, they
Yeah.
almost become,
So,
and we're still suffering for that.
there's a lot of stuff in there as we look back into, well, how did I get to here? Is that based on reality that's happening in Canada right now with climate change, etc. Anyway,
Yeah.
I am going to have to take some pills.
It is evening for him over there, folks, and he has got this miserable cold. But going back to, please revisit Thomas D. I really do think, yeah, book two needs to come out of that. But I really do, please, please look at this book because I think it really, especially give it to your youth, give it to your teenagers, let them read it and let them see the parallels that are going on today. But please do, look at all of the books. You've got the repossession.
The
You've got,
repossession of Genie Magee, the hunting of Genie Magee, the heaviness, and whatever happened to
and it,
Genie Magee. There you go.
it stands alone, great, but I really do recommend you read all of them because it's a journey. And with each book, it takes you on to the next journey. And you
Yeah.
feel that you're kind of watching your best friend go through something, but at the same time, kind of pause and look at your own life because even though she's a copy of herself, how did she become that? Where does it make you feel like you relatability? Because there always is that.
But also, of course, is that I began that way back, writing the first one. But right now, with AI capability and
Hmm.
all this stuff is going to become much more real, more possible to
Hmm.
actually happen.
Exactly. I don't know
And
if
there
you
will
remember.
be unscrupulous billionaires
Of course.
who will do it.
Are we not seeing that? We already have leaks from people who've been told they're working 7 days a week from us for him to come out with a, Starlink type thing, and
Yeah.
which is already coming out. And so, yes, I always argue with people, AI isn't bad. It's accumulation of human knowledge. It's always what the human does with it. And if you use it for good, it's great. And if you use it for bad, it's detrimental. And it always comes back down to us as humans and how we use it, what we do with it. And that
Or
is,
abuse it. Yeah.
or abuse it. And, that accountability, that responsibility, you can't help what happens to you, but what you do with it and what you become out of it. Maggie Magee is a great example of that resilience and becoming something despite what you've gone through. So, highly
Thank you.
recommend it. But
Thank you,
also,
Sarah.
if they go to your site right now, you have a special offers
Yeah.
for the first 30 people that go to samhawksmoor.com. And that's SAMHAWKSMOORE.com.
No,
And
there's no E. There's no E.
oh, right, no E, always put E on the end of it, right. And you've got an offer there. So you like to tell people what that is?
Yep, it's on Book Sirens, and there are 30 digital copies available for free. The only thing they ask is that one writes a review, and they don't tell you what to review, so it's your choice. But the idea is that it's a free copy on booksirens.com, and you'll find it
And
there. You can go to the link on samhawksmoor.com, and that way, it's an opportunity for the first 30 anyway that they get a free
right.
copy.
And again, if you read the book and now you're intrigued to what the backstory is, it's not going to spoil things for you. In a sense, you know that she lives. But
Yeah.
going back and looking at what is the true journey of how she got
But
there.
quite a lot of people don't live.
Yeah, exactly. And who are they? So go back and read the books and find out for yourself. And he
Yeah.
also has hackwriters.com, which he's had for 26 years of articles for people from all over the world. And that goes under Sam North, the original name. And he's under Goodreads, Sam Hawksmoor, which you can find his books and things there too. As I said, there's so many beautiful books there. Another one, We Feel Your Pain, So You Don't Have to, which is kind of an exciting thriller. There's two books in that series, which I know
I'm
there's another
thinking
one.
of writing a script for that actually. So
Mm. It would make a great TV series and exactly what we need. And again, it's kind of you always bring in kind of that different dimensional or different bizarre uh, that doesn't look like it's possible. And then something comes up in the news that is kind of reflecting what you've written about. You've always been foresight on that with every of your reading. So if you read something, you think, no, this could never happen. And then you're like, oh, God, maybe. And
yeah,
that's the.
maybe. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
you just can see the future better than us. So Sam Hawksmoor without the E dot com. And all you have to do is read the book and leave a wonderful comment. But I do recommend reading all the books. And
You
again,
don't even have to leave a wonderful comment.
no, I'm No nasties allowed. And if you don't like it, just don't make a comment.
Yeah.
And the repercussions of comedy, again, from the ages around, I would say 11, 12 could read that.
12 onwards, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 12 onwards. And a lot of 11-year-olds are kind of quite out there today. And, but, read it as an adult and then have that discussion. Could this happen? Well, as it happens in the book, maybe not, but is it happening? Pay attention to what's happening now and kind of what's happening in the book because
Oh, yeah.
very, very interesting. And you always bring fact, futurist, and reality into the same thing, which is an art in itself. So delightful to have you back again, Sam,
Okay, well, take care of yourself and
and to you too.
good luck
And
with your own book, Selfish, which
yes, yes,
actually,
yes. I am not selfish. Just not easily manipulated. Which a part of a book of 27 people, and I've got a chapter in that which has just come out. So,
okay.
yeah. And of course, the next book which you're going to be in is Our Forgotten Seniors, which I am gathering seniors right now to be a part
Well, you
of.
better remind me what I'm supposed to write about because
Yes, I will do. And also gathering seniors that want to be a part of that and contribute their chapter to that and the anthology as well. Because
I think the
I,
one thing about seniors is that always that are they still relevant? And that's you know,
and we certainly are, even more so, I think, right now. And how do we keep ourselves relevant? That's important. We don't be put out to pasture. Yes, you can retire, but what else are you doing to be proactive? Or, how many people do I interview that are retired from the big job and now doing something they really love,
yeah.
right?
Actually, although I really wish I hadn't retired and had a choice to step.
Mm.
Anyway,
Yes. And there's some people that are pushed into that to do, but there's always something else you can do. And that's
yeah.
important. So wonderful. Get well, Sam.
Thank
And
you.
to everyone else out there, don't click off yet, Sam. To everyone else out there, please, whatever happened to Genie Magee, and read all the books, Thomas D, and have a discussion. Remember, we always talk about podcast parties. Listen to the same podcast, take notes, and then have a discussion because it's always quite intriguing what you're going to come up with. So until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.